Om Shri Sadgurave Namaha. Jai Guru. In this talk of today, we are going to have a look and try to understand them in their perspective, the efficacy of the various methods of meditation that are being taught by different persons. In many of our previous talks, we have seen that meditation is essential to practice if we want to succeed in accomplishing the noblest objective of ending the excruciatingly painful cycle of births and deaths, or to move out of the cycle of transmigration. Meditation is a tool that helps us in achieving or accomplishing this objective, this noblest, as I said, objective that could be attained in a human birth. Understandably so, the term meditation has become very fashionable, or as we say these days, trending around the globe. And no wonder there have come up a number of methods of meditation with no less number of the teachers or trainers that are involved in imparting the training in meditation. In today's talk, we are going to have a look at some of these methods and try to understand or gaze whether they could really be said to be the meditation techniques, or else we can say that we'll try to understand what is and what is not meditation, and how meditation should or should not be practiced. Before we do that, let us be very clear that we are talking from a spiritual perspective, where we consider meditation or inner meditation to be more appropriate as a means for a sincere spiritual seeker who is interested, as I said, in ensuring or securing his or her salvation or emancipation from the woeful cycles of transmigration. The method that helps us in accomplishing this objective is said to be meditation. Now, in many of the so-called methods of meditation, we'll try to have a look at just a few of them. Some of them I have personally attended also. So in one of such methods, we are asked to lie down and imagine, with our eyes closed, imagine that we have gone to, or we are there in a beautiful ambience. For example, we are there in a lovely garden full of fragrant flowers and enchanting trees with birds chirping, etc. And we are said to imagine all these things with springs or waterfalls present there, and let us try to be lost in that ambience, be peaceful, and try to experience the beauty, the serenity of the surroundings in which we are there. And this has a calming effect on our minds. Similarly, in another such method, we are asked to concentrate, again lying down on the floor on a suitable mat, yoga mat or something like that, and shut our eyes and then try to imagine, starting from our toes to our tip, okay, concentrating one by one on each of the parts and imagining that they are becoming, say, loose or stress free. Okay, so just imagine that your toes are getting stress free, completely loose. Then move upwards to your heels, ankles, knees, thighs, abdomen, chest, neck, then your lips, nose, eyes, temple, everything, and that you have become completely relaxed or stress free. This is said to have an effect of a stress buster technique. Okay, similarly, I've jotted down a few lines, so that is why I'm referring to, lest I forget to include them. So, in yet another technique, we are asked to still our mind and try to intently listen to the sounds being produced in and around us. We are sitting with our eyes closed but ears intently open and try to listen all the various types of sounds that are being produced, like say chirping of birds, howling of monkeys, some door opening, a vehicle passing, the sound created by the movement bustle of, say, branches of the trees, etc., etc. Somebody calling, okay, some animal barking or producing some sound. So try to listen and grasp as many sounds as you can, which are being produced in the surroundings. And this, they say, increase our awareness or alertness about the surroundings, about the environment in which we live. Alternatively, in one of the method, we are also asked to watch our breathing, keenly observe the inhalation and exhalation. As we breathe in, just feel how the air is passing through your, say, throat, and breathe and see how it passes up to lungs or even down below the different parts of your body. And then again, as you exhale, this also is said to have a magical effect on the quietening of our mind. So, in this way, we'll find that there are a large number of methods that are being taught by different so-called meditation experts or trainers or teachers, and they are offering their services both online and offline. And I am not here to criticize any of them, because they are having their own intended effects. They are not without their benefits. They do have certain very positive effects on our physique as well as our mind. But what I am trying to focus in this talk is whether they qualify as meditation in the strictest sense of the term, as we understand the term from a spiritual perspective. Meditation, as we understand, and as I've said earlier also in the beginning of the talk, it is a means, a tool which should help me in attaining freedom from the various shells or sheaths or coverings or layerings or curtains that keep the individual soul covered and prevent it from realizing its own true self and being one with the whole of which it is a part. And when we see meditation from this angle, then we will certainly appreciate then that any technique of meditation must help us in raising our consciousness, raising the individual soul, ascending above the body consciousness, above the level of body, gross body to start with, and the gross universe. Now, is the method of meditation that we are being taught to practice helping me in this direction? Just look at it, okay, with an analytical bent of mind and try to understand, is it helping me to free myself of the gross body and its various parts? Because the ultimate freedom or emancipation would be obtained if and only if the individual soul has stripped itself of all its outer coverings. When it is completely free of all types of bondages, then it will realize its true, sterling, sublime nature. And there will be bliss and bliss only that is left. But if we find that the method of meditation that I am practicing is binding me, is keeping me glued, my consciousness attached to the very body and its parts, or say its senses, sensory organs, which I am supposed to be freed of, to wriggle free of, then how would it help me in accomplishing my avowed objectives? For example, if I am listening to the various kinds of sounds that are coming from different directions to me, then I am keeping myself completely attached to my hearing organ, that is ears, which are a part of my body. And I am practicing meditation so that I can raise myself above my body. So will it be helpful? If I am imagining of certain situations around me, they could be imaginary, but they are very much here only, then again I am, say, restricting myself to the observations of my body. Okay, in one of the methods we are also asked to chant mantras by counting on the beads of the rosary. We have got a rosary which consists of number of beads. Traditionally it consists of 108 beads, and you have to go on moving one by one and chanting the mantra. Again, though we are chanting the mantra, at the same time our attention is also there on moving the beads of the rosary one by one, so that we don't miss, we don't stick to the same say bead again and again. Okay, and so that we complete it and rotate it back. So all the time our attention is divided and it is focused on a thing, and our fingers, both of which are very much gross. So how do we think we can free ourselves of the gross levels of body as well as the universe or world? So therefore, if we look at it from this angle, in this perspective, then we'll find that why all the true sages or sants alike have advocated the practice of methods which take us beyond, which remove us from our body consciousness. Okay, all of them. And then we find that because we live in this gross body and the gross universe, so suddenly in one go we cannot raise ourselves above it. So we have to seek help of something which is there. So that is why we need this body also to practice meditation. We have to sit erect and say keep our eyes closed, etc., and practice all that is taught to us by our guru. And we need to sit in a fixed posture for extended durations so that we have also to maintain a healthy body. But we have to remember that this is a tool that is available to us, but our objective is not to remain attached to this body. We must do practice something which, say, rises me, lifts me above this body. And that something which can lift me above, higher or deeper inside has to be subtle, because the soul is the subtlest. So you have to seek the help of something which is subtle inherently. And then we find that it is nothing but our own mind. Mind being subtle, it has got the capability, it is competent enough to let us forget about our body and raise our consciousness beyond. Now you may ask that mind also, you have said in many of your previous talks that mind is also much grosser in comparison to, relative to the soul. Then why are you asking to take help of this? Then to this we have to say that, as I said, you have to start one by one. Mind being subtle, initially it is, say, essentially or almost inseparably intertwined with the soul. Okay. Sants say that they are mixed with each other, just as clarified butter lies completely, thoroughly mixed in body of milk. Each and every drop of milk consists of proportionately, say, clarified butter present in it. But the butter or clarified butter, which we call ghee in Sanskrit or Hindi, ghrit, it, so long as it is mixed with milk, it cannot serve the purpose which could be achieved by the ghee or the clarified butter alone. So that ultimately they have to be separated out. Like say, as we churn the milk, slowly butter starts floating, and then that butter is also heated to get the clarified butter or ghee. And once it is separated, then if you put that butter or clarified butter back into the milk, it's not going to mix now. It will keep afloat, always separate from the milk. Okay. Similarly, initially, if we consider our mind to be milk, then the individual soul is present in it like clarified butter. So you have to start churning it, just as we have to churn the milk to get the to separate out the clarified butter. So we have to start with our mind. And as I said, mind is much subtler in comparison to the gross body that we have put on. And therefore, whatever methods are taught to us, initially you will find that they seek the help of mind. Like say, the method we have been taught to us in the tradition of Santmat by, say, Sadguru Maharshi Mehi Paramhans or his guru, Baba Devi Sahab or even his Guru, or you will find these things, these methods in the sayings of teachings of various other saints like Kabir, Nanak, Meera, Sajubai, Ravidas ji, Dadu Dayal ji, Paltu Sahab, Jagjivan Das ji, Sant Radha Swami, etc. etc. So essentially the methods or the steps of meditation that we are taught to practice are: first is mental chanting. Okay, we don't chant by pronouncing using our lips or tongues. It is the mind that is doing all the chanting, repeating, reciting the same mantra over and over again without seeking any help of any of the, say, grosser physical parts. We don't need rosary bits, we don't need our lips, we don't need our tongue. All the exercise is being done by the mind. The mantra has been given to us by our Guru, and we have to sit erect in a stress-free, relaxed, but with our spine erect, and we have to go on chanting the mantra mentally. Neither my lips nor my tongue or any of the parts of the body will have any role to play in this chanting. So mind is there. And then once we find, and as you say, those who have already been initiated into this, they know that this mantra is in the nature of invocation, as if we are calling someone. Okay, and the one which you call intently with all your mind and soul, then it is very natural that his form appears on the screen of our mind. That is, we start visualizing our desired form of deity or guru that we worship. So the mental chanting leads to mental visualization. We start seeing the form of our desired guru or deity very clearly, just as we see them outside. Okay. These two methods, that is mental chanting of mantra and mental visualization of a form, these are grosser methods of meditation. And once we find that we have become capable of focusing our attention, concentrating our attention on any particular form, whatever form it could be, then we have to shrink our focus, our gazing, so that it becomes concentrated in a point, that is a dimensionless entity. A point is something which has no length, no width, no thickness, no depth. It occupies no space, but still it exists. That is the definition of an ideal point, even in the subject of geometry. And it is impossible to draw such a point in the outside world, as we have seen in our say previous talks, with however minute our drawing object could be, no matter if it be the tip of our hair. But still, if you draw a point by using these implements, we'll find that it has got some dimension which becomes visible in the say under a microscope. So therefore it is impossible to draw and therefore visualize a point in the outside world, and therefore we have to invert and start looking inwardly. And there, because our lines of sights, they are true lines which have got only length and no width or thickness or depth. And these two lines of sight in our two eyes, when they meet, then as we know, two lines intersect into a point. And that point, which will be seen, visualized within, in the sky, inner sky that becomes visible, that comes into view when we see with our eyes closed gently. We don't have to apply any force on the eyes, because it is not these eyes that are going to see the point. Again, it is the mind that is going to help us. So when the currents of consciousness flowing throughout the body, they are gathered, they collect in the eyes, and then finally into a single point, then we start seeing a refulgent or radiant point. And because it is dimensionless, so it helps us in transcending this gross body as well as the gross universe. We become oblivious of our body and the surroundings. And thus, the moment we have done so, then we have raised our consciousness, we have raised our in soul along with mind above this gross body and universe. So this third method, when we are gazing intently with a stilled attention, okay, within us, and try to focus, concentrate our sight, our vision into a single point. This method is said to be Drishti Sadhan or Vindu Dhyan or Yoga of Inner Light. And once we have succeeded in this, then one barrier we have already crossed. And then, so as I said, the first two methods, that is mental chanting and mental visualization, which are in Bharati or Sanskrit known as Manas Jap. Jap means chanting, Manas means mental, Manas Jap and Manas Dhyan. And then we move into subtle meditation, which starts with the yoga of inner light. And once we concentrate on this, remaining discussions we have already seen, then inner horizon becomes replete with radiance. And we start moving, looking at things in the astral universe. Not only we see things, but we also hear a number of sounds, divine sounds that we have never heard before in the outer world. The vision as well as hearing that we experience once we have succeeded in the yoga of inner light, then it takes us into an altogether different world. And from there we have to move further and further, or delve deeper and deeper as we go on transcending different layers of bodies like subtle body and subtle universe, causal body and causal universe, supracausal body and supracausal universe. And slowly, as I said, that mind is much grosser in comparison to the soul, so mind also falls apart, is left behind, and then the soul alone moves till it has pierced, it has teared through the last of the layers also, last of the shells also, and it has moved into complete freedom, into a merger or unison with its whole, that is Supreme Sovereign Lord. And the complete freedom, complete salvation is achieved, attained. And such a soul, when it comes down from the meditation to its body consciousness level, then as I said, that once the clarified butter is separated out, then even if it is put back into the milk, it will never mix like it had say done earlier. Similarly, such a soul, even while it lives in the world, talks, sits, sleeps, interacts, performs, conducts various types of works, but it is all the time aloof from everything around it, including its own body. And that the method which allows us in achieving this is the true meditation technique or techniques. So, if we look at and examine all the various different types of methods that go in the name of meditation or that are passed in the name of meditation, then very dispassionately, neutrally, without having any positive or negative bias towards anything, we could examine the veracity, the efficacy of the various methods that are being taught, and we could judge for ourselves whether they are truly meditation techniques or something else in the guise of meditation. As I said, that they are not without benefits. They serve many of the purposes. They relieve our stress, they are stress busters, they increase our focus, concentration, awareness increased. And when we work with increased focus, increased concentration, then our productivity also increases. Okay, so there are a number of benefits, and it's not to deny any of them. The topic or the question here is that whether they are strictly meditation techniques or not. And in this talk, I've tried to explain and differentiate between these two things. One, that is strictly meditation, which helps us in accomplishing our objective of securing salvation from the bondage, attaining to a state of pure bliss, unmitigated bliss, which is maintained uniformly all through, or it only helps in, say, bettering some of our aspects of lives, dimensions of lives, and ensure in leading a much more peaceful and successful worldly life. I hope I have tried to distinguish between the two and you agree. If you don't, or whatever you feel about this, feel free to write honestly your reactions in the comment box. We'll meet again with some other talk. Thank you very much. Jai Guru, Radha Swami, Vaheguru, Satyaram Sahib Bandagi, Namaste.